Hello, what's going on, everybody? In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my NFL award predictions for the 2023-2024 NFL season. That includes the MVP award, Offensive Defensive Player of the Years, Offensive Defensive Rookie of the Years, and all of the NFL honors trophies that are presented outside of the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. That's just too hard to predict in the preseason. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, but make sure you follow my Twitter. I'm going to be very active on that the entire season, and that's where most of my takes are going to be accessible. And so yeah, go follow my Twitter. But with that being said, let's get right into this video. Starting off with my offensive rookie of the year, I have the easy choice, which is going to be Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson was my third favorite prospect and my favorite offensive prospect for the 2023 NFL Draft. At the University of Texas, he had 1,580 yards and 18 touchdowns all on the ground, with 6.1 yards per carry. He was also ranked number 1 in forced missed tackles. He was also one of the top players in broken tackles. Bijan Robinson is like a bowling ball as a running back, and we kind of saw that within the preseason. He was the premier running back on the first drive for the starters. The only potential knock to his offensive rookie of the year candidate is the lack of opportunity he could potentially get. He's in a 3 backfield system with Cordell Patterson, Tyler Algier, and him. But the Falcons were the second most efficient rushing attack in the NFL and were the second most productive rushing attack as well, both behind the Bears. And since they drafted Bijan Robinson 8th overall, I don't think he'll ever be short of opportunity, whether that's in the passing game, whether that's in the rushing game, and he'll get plenty of goal line carries, and he'll even get some work at receiver in the slot. I think he'll soar over 1,000 yards in a full healthy season and potentially get 10 touchdowns. Right now, he has an uncapped ceiling before we see him on the field and how much he plays in a full game. But I think 1,500 all-purpose yards is a pretty safe projection for Bijan Robinson. And as I don't predict Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, or C.J. Stroud to be an awesome quarterback right off the bat, 1,500 all-purpose yards should be enough. But going over my projected top 3, I have Bijan Robinson winning it. I have Zay Flowers being the second candidate. I think he'll also get over 1,000 yards and be the number 1 receiver on that offense. And then I'm going to have Bryce Young at 3. I think he'll perform the best out of the 3 rookie quarterbacks that were taken in the first round. Defensive Rookie of the Year is a little easier to pinpoint down. The 2 most common requirements are that you have to be a first-round pick, as well as being a defensive lineman or edge rusher. In the last 10 years, only 1 player has not been from the first round and won the award. That was Shaquille Leonard back in 2018. And 6 out of 10 have been either interior defensive linemen, edge rushers, or defensive ends. And that leaves us with 2 prime candidates to win the award, and my favorite will be Will Anderson Jr. In the 20 snaps that he posted in the preseason, he had a 92.4 PFF grade, as well as getting a sack and a forced fumble, which is the play on screen. The Houston Texans hired D'Amico Ryan, defensive coordinator from the 49ers, this offseason, and he coached not only the best defense in the NFL, but one of the most productive defensive line units in the NFL. And that includes Nick Bosa, who won the Defensive Player of the Year last year at edge. Will Anderson will thrive under this coaching, especially because Will Anderson played the 4-3 at Alabama last year, and also played from both sides. Based on stats, I think he soars over 10 sacks in a full season. He should force, hopefully, a few fumbles, but most importantly have one of the highest pass rush win rates for a defensive end. For my DPOY rankings, I've got Will Anderson winning it, Jalen Carter at 2, where if he plays right away, has another really good case to win it. And then I've got Christian Gonzalez at 3. For my Defensive Player of the Year, I have the favorite Micah Parsons to win it. Even at plus 650 odds, I think that's a little low. I think Micah Parsons probably has the best shot to win it this year. Micah Parsons has now finished second for Defensive Player of the Year twice in a row. Ever since his rookie year, he's been a first-team All-Pro in both years, the Defensive Rookie of the Year, and even last year he finished 8th in MVP voting. The only difference between Nick Bosa's candidacy and Micah Parsons was their sack total. Nick Bosa might have led the league in sacks, but Micah Parsons was just as productive with 90 total pressures according to PFF. Tied with Nick Bosa. The thing I'm looking out of Micah Parsons this year is to do the same thing he's been doing the last 2 years. Be an extremely productive edge rusher and be the most impactful edge rusher in the league, which is the same basically he's been doing the last 2 years. The key stat I'm looking for this year outside of pass rush win rate is how much he's going to rush the passer. In his rookie year, he rushed the passer 50% of the time, and in 2022, that number took a 37% jump to 88.4. It was rumored over the offseason that Micah Parsons was moving to defensive end. However, that rumor was corrected by defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. But I think there is validity to that claim. I don't think he'll be a true defensive end with his hand in the ground as a Rio or a Leo. I think he'll stay as outside linebacker, but what I think he means is that his pass rush percent is going to go up. That means he'll be rushing on almost all snaps. And that means his productivity will go up. And compared to all the other candidates, I think Micah Parsons can overcome that hurdle and win Defensive Player of the Year this year. If I were to give a second place vote, I would give it to Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is a very good shot to lead the league in sacks this year, with Jim Schwartz being added as the Browns defensive coordinator, as Jim Schwartz's units are always in the top percentage of the league in sacks. And then for my third place vote, I'm going to give it to TJ Watt or Sauce Gardner, with TJ Watt I think coming out on third by like only a few votes and Sauce Gardner coming in at fourth. Moving on to Offensive Player of the Year, aka the most valuable non-quarterback in the league. I'm going to give that honor this year to Tyreek Hill. Last year, I was correct in my prediction that Justin Jefferson would win. For Tyreek Hill, he finished fourth in voting for the Offensive Player of the Year last year and was the second highest non-voted quarterback in the voting behind Justin Jefferson, who won. Last year, he had the most productive year of his career with 119 receptions and 1,710 receiving yards. Respectively, those are both second in the league. The biggest question mark to his candidacy is Tua's health. Tua played 12 full games in 2022, but amassed almost 3 concussions. Those were 3 separate occasions of concussions. And obviously, he didn't finish his season. But if Tua remains healthy for the majority of the season, Tyreek Hill should not only lead the league in receiving yards, but should come close to Cooper Kupp's number in 2021. Tyreek Hill had 94 catches and 1,408 yards and 8 touchdowns in 13 games with Tua Tagovailoa. That's more than 100 yards per game. Tyreek Hill has a good potential to lead the league and potentially get 1,800 or 1,900 receiving yards and wins the award. My second place vote would be given to Nick Chubb. I think he'll lead the league in rushing and rushing touchdowns. And these votes are, of course, ignoring quarterbacks. We're trying to assess the best skill position players. And then for my third place vote, I have a tie between Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. I really couldn't decide whether I wanted one or the other. With a quick intermission, I'm going to give quickly my comeback player of the year, which is going to obviously be Damar Hamlin. He's the obvious favorite because of the storyline. If you didn't know, Damar Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest last season in a Monday Night Football game between the Bengals and the Bills. He collapsed on the field suffering from commotio cordis, which is a very rare condition in sports where you get hit in the heart at the moment that your heart is trying to beat again. And it happens when you get a sudden blow to the chest causing VFib or ventricular fibrillation, and it basically shuts your heart off. And technically, Damar Hamlin died on the field. Because cardiac arrest is a complete stop of the heart, his heart wasn't beating and had to get reset. If any of you guys are CPR certified, you know what you would have to do in a situation like that and get an AED. And luckily, Damar Hamlin was revived at the hospital, and he's quite literally made a miraculous comeback to the NFL where he played in a preseason game, and likely will be able to play during the regular season. Now, his comeback story is something that the NFL has obviously had their eyes on, not only just because it's a rare condition, but how fast he came back to the NFL, and also the severity of his injury, him dying on the field, and coming back to play again. That is just a textbook award-winning story. But let's not forget why the NFL is honing in so much on the story. Another reason is definitely because of player safety. Because they keep talking about how good the story is, they're ignoring the fact of how player safety is still a massive issue in the NFL, and wanting to push the narrative of player safety, especially when it comes to something like cardiac arrest, as far under the table as they can, by hyping this up as a comeback story instead of a player safety issue. There are a ton of scary injuries just like every single year in the NFL, but last year it seemed like there was an uptick in concussions. Multiple players got their bell rung bad last season, like Russell Wilson, Tua Tagovailoa, Nyheim Hines, and multiple others. There were 149 concussions suffered over 271 NFL games, an 18% jump from 2021. And 14% higher than the 3-year average between 2018 and 2020. The NFL should focus more on player safety. However, whenever we have a rare incident like the Damar Hamlin situation, the NFL is going to hype it up like it's a comeback story. And then obviously they're going to give him the award to finish the storyline. And then my 3 other candidates for this award is going to be Breece Hall, and then Tua Tagovailoa and Russell Wilson, with Tua coming back majorly from his concussions, and then Russ from having a bad year. And then for my MVP prediction, I also have the favorite Joe Burrow to win the award. I think it's going to be Joe Burrow's the year this year. Patrick Mahomes will always put up a strong candidacy, but I think Joe Burrow is going to have a very good candidacy this year. Not only has he shown the ability to go blow for blow with Patrick Mahomes, but his stats are also there. We always have to keep in mind that these awards are storylines as well. But last year, Joe Burrow finished 5th in passing yards and tied for 2nd in passing touchdowns with 35. Finishing 10th in QBR and finishing 6th in passer rating. Among qualified quarterbacks who play the majority of the games outside of Tom Brady, Joe Burrow had a time to throw of 2.49 seconds. That is the best number of his career and shows that he's getting the ball out faster than almost anybody in the league, and likely after this year, he will be first in time to throw because Tom Brady retired. How does this help Joe Burrow? Well, it means his sack numbers is going to be a lot lower. It dropped from 51 to 41 last season, and they also added Orlando Brown Jr. to solidify the left tackle position. Joe Burrow getting the ball out quicker also means he's reading defenses a lot better, and which is now going to be his 4th year at 27 years old. He should be entering the prime of his career, and he, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins should all be in line for career years. Quickly for my MVP rankings, I've got Joe Burrow at 1, and then I'm never going to count on Patrick Mahomes. I have him at 2, and then Jalen Hurts at 3. I think Patrick Mahomes right now should be the favorite to repeat the award, but I think Joe Burrow could win the award in the end. Coach of the Year is really hard to nail down in the beginning of the year, but in my render for the 2023 NFL season, I have the Dolphins coming in as the 3rd best team in the league. And then Maine's Mike McDaniel ends up being a top head coach. So right now, I will give him the award. I wouldn't necessarily call these rankings more like candidates. Dan Campbell has an extremely good candidacy to win Coach of the Year this year, as I have the Lions being a 10-plus win team. And then obviously Andy Reid, you can never count him out. He's a phenomenal head coach. And I have the Chiefs with the best record in the league, so he should be another popular candidate. But as always, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, follow my Twitter. It's where all my takes are going to be the most accessible. And I'm always very active, especially during the regular season. But you guys in the comments, let me know your predictions for the Rookies of the Year, the Defensive and Offensive Player of the Year. Let me know your MVP candidates and all that good stuff. But other than that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.